Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. From time to time, I like to show you guys a little bit of what's going into my collection. Own a shop, so everything, there's tons of stuff coming and going all the time. I do very regularly pull a bunch of stuff out of my collection to put in the shop, and then I also do bring things home. So here lately, I've been really selective on what I've been bringing home. I haven't been keeping as much as I normally do. Just been super busy, not buying much online or anything like that. But I do have some really cool things that I've added to my collection the past month. I thought I would show you guys. First being, you guys probably saw the video already, but I had this huge Zeppelin road case. Oh God, yeah. So it's like 48 pounds or something like that. Really heavy, but I did a video on it. I believe it was my last video or close to it. But yeah, it's amazing. It's something I've always wanted, and kind of the stars aligned. I would never thought I would be able to get one, but stars aligned, and I did. So really cool. So I kind of blown my budget for on records to keep for myself, anyways. But anyways, there's been some really good newer release stuff that I've gotten, but I'll show you some. I know a lot of you guys are looking because you like to see the rare Psych stuff and stuff like that. So I've got, I think, like a couple funk records, but it's mostly like Psych and hard rock stuff, Krautrock, Prog, stuff like that. One being this buddy named Art is a digger. He goes around all the time looking in antique shops and all that stuff, and he found this in a thrift store. This is a copy of Felt. I already had a copy of Felt. The copy that I had was it was a little bit of a beater copy, but still played really well, but it was given to me, and the guy that gave it to me basically said, you can have this for free under the stipulation that you don't sell it. When you get rid of it, you give it away. And I said, I will do that. And so I got, this one's a super nice copy, really, really clean. And I was happy when I bought it because I was getting an upgrade copy, and it's such a fantastic record. But I was also really happy because I had a buddy that had been really looking for the record, and he just had the opportunity to get one and kind of missed out on it. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be able to surprise him and send him one anyway. So he's super thrilled that he got a free Felt record, But if you haven't heard this record, it's on NASCO Records. It's really good psychedelic hard rock, amazing. But the cover is just one of those. By the cover, you're going to pick that up if you see it. So it's a lazy Sunday here at the house, so I thought I would do it. This one is Ethel Ann Powell, The Elephant Patch. So this is one of those North Carolina records that I look for. I've been looking for years. They made a very limited amount of them. I think it came out in '77, but this is kind of like an acid folk record. It's really cool. But Ethel Ann Powell's from like the mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains area of North Carolina, and so I always look for her stuff, or I always look for this record, and looked for years, and finally I was up in Asheville, and I was like, I should just look her up and try to find her. So I was able to find her and get this copy directly from her, and so it's really cool. But it's an interesting mix. So let's say, it's like Dire Straits mixed with, Jefferson Airplane. Let's say that. If they all took a bunch of shrooms and made a record, that's this. So if that sounds good to you, you might want to look it up. Really good. But it's Ethel Ann Powell, The Elephant Patch. It's on JTO Records. It's a private press thing, but there's some really, really killer guitar work on here. Yeah, it's a really cool record. So thrilled to finally add that one to the collection after years and years of searching. And she was a trip to meet. She's just hilarious. Bought a bunch of like Krautrock UK stuff, all that. So showing some of this like really killer Krautrock and stuff. Man, this band I love so much, Gomorrah. Been looking for this record for a while. This is I Turned to See Whose Voice It Was. This is an original Green Label Brain. Man, this band's incredible. So they started off, I think they started, their first record was in '69. It was just self-titled. And then they got a new lead singer and like re-recorded it. So the first record was in German, like the vocals were in German. And then when they re-recorded it and re-released it, they changed the lyrics to English. It's just kind of funny that they did that. Both of them sound killer. But they re-recorded and redid the whole album. And I think, so the second one they did, it's the same music as the first one, but the first one's self-titled. The second one's Trauma. It's called Trauma, but it's the same music, but not really. So that's really cool. And then this one is probably my favorite of theirs. Just a really good example of krautrock. Phenomenal stuff. And it's just out of this world. Really good guitar work, all that stuff. So definitely check this out if you haven't heard it. Gomorrah, I turned to see whose voice it was. Great one. This is another one that's really rare. Vertigo. This is Brave New World. This is original German press. This is called Impressions on Reading Aldous Huxley. So basically this album, this author Aldous Huxley, the band had read some of his stuff and like wrote a record around it. So it's like got some folky elements to it, but then it gets like real dark sounding, got some dark synthesizer stuff, really early usage of the drum machine. So usually like UK Vertigo is what you want to get. This wasn't released in the UK. It was only released in Germany on Vertigo. So this is the pressing to get of it. Really hard to find, but it's just a really killer record. It's one that like, it's not like there's a hit on it, you know, there's no hits on that record, but it's just out of this world, mind-bending. You have to sit and listen to the whole thing type of thing. So really good. This one's incredible. This is called Wigwam. Fairyport. Wigwam is a really good, really good prog band. Yeah, this is one I've been wanting for a long time. It's a double LP. These are all like top condition, super clean stuff. It's another one, Logan Dwight. Fantastic, man. This one's really rare. Italian prog. Italian prog just kind of has a little, a little different tinge to it. And it's all really rare and really hard to find and all that stuff. But it's just got a charm to it that I really, really like. But this is it's called Logan Dwight. Really good Italian prog record. So I get into phases where I'm like, I want to hear some Italian prog. Like, it just has a different bend to it. That's really good. So this one's Masters Apprentices. Really good record. I've been looking for this for a really long time. I already had this one. This one's Toast to Panama Red. Really good. This is an original UK of this. Already had that. But I've been looking for this one. This is their self-titled. In Australia, they released it under the name Choice Cuts. But the artwork's really killer because it's like there's a ghost sitting in this chair, this floating hand smoking a cigarette. But really good, like a blues-influenced psychedelic rock, but not as basic as something like, 10 Years After or something like that. It's got a lot more psychedelic side to it. It's got that UK feel to it, but it's from Australia. So really good stuff. And insane good explosive guitar work. This is one. It's called Masters Apprentices. If you want to look it up to listen to it, I think most things have it credited as Choice Cuts, but it's a freaking fantastic record. This is one I just kind of got a steal of a deal on. This is a Can Edge Bamasi. This is, if you're into prog or krautrock, this is one that you see floating around. Everybody recommends it. It's the Court of the Crimson King of krautrock. Everybody recommends it, all this stuff. And years ago, I would listen to it, and it was like, okay, and I just didn't have ears for it at the time. I kind of put it down. I've got a reissue of it. It was just one of those I didn't know if I liked enough to shell out for an original, and ended up being able to find an original for really cheap recently. I got a hold of this one. Crazy good deal on it. It was an original German press. And just like in the past 6 months, I've been listening to more Can and really liking it. I mean, Can's one of those bands that everybody is crazy about them, and it's just like, for me, I'm like, whatever. And then if I say that, you know, here's the thing, guys. I will be honest with you 100%, and I don't care what you think. I do want you to like the records that I show, but I really don't care if you think I'm basic or whatever. Some people are like, don't worry, you'll like it when you're older. Like, they act like they're more sophisticated. And it's not that you're more sophisticated. I like crazy, deep music that no one likes, but it's not about that. It's just at a certain point in time, something will catch you and you'll like it, you know? And so recently I've caught Can and really started liking it. So I was like, I'll track down an original. Was able to find this for a really, really good deal. But I always want to, you know, be honest to a fault. Like, a lot of people are like, yeah, I always liked them. When I was 4 years old, I was listening to Captain Beefheart, and I, you know, I put together my own computer, and this one's called Island. I love that artwork. But yeah, it's really good, like symphonic type of prog rock. It's kind of really out there. The cover, man, it's out there, man. But yeah, that's a really killer one. This one's Homestead and Wolf, Our Times. This is more like acid folk type stuff. It's U.S. press. Another one that's pretty tough to find. And then I'm gonna try to pronounce this. This is Bacamarte, Depois de Fim, but this is really good. South American hard rock. This record is phenomenal. You need to look this one up and listen to it. I've never seen a copy before, just because you're not going to find them in this area. Kind of something that you have to go online to get. But it's like South American prog, and it's got like killer synthesizer, organ stuff, you know, guitar solos for days. This is a heater. This is one you should look for. Really cool one. This is some other stuff from a buddy of mine. This one's called Strange Pleasure by Galliard. This is one, we were trying to come up with a trade on something. I was trading a friend. I had a couple copies of Zeppelin 2 Mo-Fi, and we were trading a handful of records for it, and this is one of them. This is a really cool record. This is another one, at times a little folky, but on the psychedelic side of things. This is an original UK mono of this one, and it's a killer. It was on my want list, and I kind of forgot about it. It's one of those things, you know, you'll put stuff on your want list, and then you'll forget about it for a little while, and then you'll see it and like, oh yeah, I think I wanted that at one point. It was one of those for me. This one's really cool. It's called Companion, Reap the Lost Dreamers. So this is one I'm not listening to a lot of it, but it's similar to that one in the right, that it's a little bit acousticy, but really good, like just kind of strange rock. But look at that cover, man. But yeah, I need to spend some more time with this one. I haven't listened to it a whole lot, but it's a cool one. This is one that I've had, but I just kind of rediscovered. I've been listening to it a lot this week. This is Nevergreen, Missing Link. Yeah, it's a really good like Krautrock record. Fantastic stuff. I got some Mo-Fis and stuff from the gentleman that sold me the Rode case. Also sold me some other like really cool audiophile stuff. This is one of them, man. This is Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road Mo-Fi, which is a really rare Mo-Fi to get. You know, and now it's a shame now that you show, after the whole Mo-Fi scandal, you know, you show a Mo-Fi record and everybody's like, oh, that's a nice CD you got there. And they got all their Mo-Fi jokes. Just so you know, everyone's sick of the Mo-Fi jokes. We understand that it's a thing. We get it. But also, like, I think that some people throw the baby out with the bathwater, because yeah, there was a period where they were using the whole DSD thing, and there was a digital step in it and whatever. But a lot of Mo-Fis didn't have that. A lot of Mo-Fis are killer, and they are analog. So this is one that was before all that, and this is an insane sounding record. This is incredible. It's been a long time since I really sat down and listened to the record, to be honest. You know, on our pursuit of rare records and, you know, hearing new things, which is what I'm always doing, always looking for new stuff. I forget that, you know, Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is a freaking amazing record. And I'll put this on when I first got it. and really sat down and listened to it. And I was like, man, I forgot how good that record was. I hadn't listened to it in years, and it's top notch. Another one, this is a Mo-Fi. This is one of the top Mo-Fis I've wanted for a long time. This is a Hot Buttered Soul. This is a great record, and if you don't have this record, you can get the regular version of this for like 10 or 15 bucks. It's really cheap, but really killer funk record. And I've been wanting the Mo-Fi of this for a really long time. It's a 90s one. I can't remember what year it came out, but it was a 90s Mo-Fi. Those are harder to get. Shoot, this rascal got a website on it. Might be late 90s. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, it's amazing. And that sounds great. Another one I got from him, he was a collector. He collected certain artists. And so he had like a lot of Zeppelin stuff. Zeppelin was, I think, the number one for him. But he also had like a bunch of Bowie stuff. And this one is a Bowie, but it's one that has the artwork that's not airbrushed. Now this is a reissue. This is like some sort of Italian reissue or something. This is Sound Vision reissue, but I've never seen a reissue that had that on it. It's not like worth a lot. I looked it up. I think it's worth like 25 bucks or something. It's not worth all the time, but it's just kind of cool to have it with that artwork. If I ever wanted to show somebody what the artwork's supposed to look like on an original, that's so it's kind of cool that it has that. And so I'm like, well, it's worth more to me as just like a visual aid if I ever do a video on it or something, to have an example. It's kind of cool. This is one that's kind of funny. I had got this in a collection probably over a year ago, and I set it aside somewhere. Could not remember for the life of me where I had it. This is a Gentle Giant Octopus. This needs a good cleaning, if I'm being honest, but this is an original Vertigo of the... But I've been wanting this forever, man, and I got it in a collection, and so I set it aside, and then I would see another one. I'm like, I can't buy that one because I know I've got one somewhere. So like I've been looking for this one forever, just knowing I have it somewhere, and I thought I might be at home, but after I moved and kind of organized everything, I'm like, it's not at home. Where the heck is it? So anyways, all that to say, I've been like trying to organize the back room of the shop because I have a whole storage unit full of stuff that I'm having to pay on every month, so I'm trying to get it all back over to the shop, and so I need to make room for it. So I've been organizing things in the shop, and finally uncovered it, found it. But yeah, I love Gentle Giant, love the original Vertigos of their stuff. Let's see, this is one, man. I just bought a collection, really good, and I was gonna do a video on it, but I just time got away from me, and I had to go ahead and process through it and get some of the stuff out because I was running out of room. But anyways, this is Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. This was in that collection. It was a bunch of jazz and a bunch of rock stuff, but it was all really clean. It's a really clean first press of this, which I don't think I've ever found a really clean first press of this record. It's always beat when I find it, and this is just a legendary record, man. This is over the years, I remember when I first heard it, it was really good to me, but without knowing the context of the record and the story behind it and all that stuff, it was good, but whatever. And kind of as I've gotten older and listened to it more and kind of understand the context behind it and all that stuff, it's funny how you frame a record in your mind can make it better or worse. But yeah, this is just a fantastic record. Marvin Gaye was coming out of such a really hard time in his life and wanting to change the style of his music and the way that he was living and all that stuff. He was singing more like R&B poppy stuff with Tammy Terrell, and she passed away, and they were like, they did everything together. Like they were musical partners together. They really worked together a lot, and he was just really depressed. And this was in the middle of like a lot of like crazy civil rights stuff where it was really a hard time for everybody at that time, but especially him. He was just having a really hard time. His brother had gone off to war, and he was reading all his letters that his brother was sending home from the Vietnam War and all this stuff. And he just went in the studio. You see him with his beard growing out, and he's wearing like a trench coat and stuff. Like usually before this, you only saw him like real trim and suits and all that stuff. So he goes in the studio and really kind of lets his hair down and tries to present his feeling. And that's what makes a really good record, is just somebody who is really transparent and really tries to convey their feelings and their emotions come across in that record in a good way, or a way that people can understand and people can relate with. And so that's kind of what this record is all about. There's more to it than the music, even though the music is killer. So all that to say, been looking for a really good clean copy of that original. It's a great one. We're gonna move that to the back. Another one I got is this Yes Close to the Edge. I've had this Mo-Fi before, but I've been listening to some more like Yes records lately, just some of the older ones that I used to listen to when I was a kid. This is one I used to listen to. With the Topographic Oceans one is one I used to listen to all the time. Fragile, obviously. But Yes is one of those bands, man. It's just it's crazy to me. Like, I was talking to somebody at the shop the other day, and they were like, so back in the 70s, we used to listen to Yes and Pink Floyd and all that stuff, and one was not better than the other. Why are Yes records so much cheaper than Pink Floyd records? I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's one of those things. I think that, Pink Floyd, I don't know. I mean, is Pink Floyd better than Yes? Yeah. But, I mean, over time, Pink Floyd has just had such a following, and maybe it was because Yes didn't have as many huge records as Pink Floyd did. Like, Pink Floyd had Wish You Were Here, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Animals, like all these just killer records that were like huge records for a lot of people. And Yes just kind of had a lot of really good ones, you know what I mean? So maybe their older records were not immortalized in the same way Pink Floyd's were. Whatever it is, all that to say, Yes had some really good records, especially the earlier ones before the 80s, obviously. But yeah, one to check out if you have dismissed Yes. And they're cheap records. You can get the originals for very little. Got the Japanese pressing of Fragile as well. I've got a really clean UK press. I got a really clean US press. I've got a Ultra Disc 1 Step, which I know. And then we're going to show a few of these, and then we're going to show a couple other like box sets and things I've gotten. So this is the Beatles White Album. This is a mono. So lately, just randomly has showed up a bunch of these like 2014 reissues in mono, and they sound really good. So I've been trying to track a bunch of them down. Got Rubber Soul, Magical Mystery Tour, Help, Sgt. Pepper's, Beatles for Sale, and Please Please Me. So I've got, I need, those are the only ones I have in mono, so I need the rest of them. But the Beatles for me, like, you hear a lot of people hating on the Beatles for whatever reason, which I don't even understand why you would do that, but there are a lot of people that do. And just, I think it's cool to hate on big bands, like popular bands that a lot of people love and are influenced by. But man, the Beatles, I grew up listening to the Beatles and so influenced by them as a kid, and it was like freaking Abbey Road and White Album, Magical Mystery Tour, that was like the soundtrack of my teenage years. I listened to it nonstop. I loved the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, but the Beatles were huge too. I mean, Zeppelin I listened to more than anybody, and I always will. But anyways, while we're on the Beatles train, I got this. I just recently bought like a massive bootleg collection, and this was in there. This is a box set called the Get Back Journals, and if you watch that Get Back thing on, I guess it's on Disney Plus, but it was huge. Maybe a year ago it came out, and it's got these straps. So when you unstrap them, this is an 11 LP color vinyl trademark quality box set. It's really, really cool. If you want to see a more in-depth look, my Instagram account is for my personal collection. It's just on Instagram. It's at Find This Record. And I just show like cool stuff from my personal collection. So I posted about that with all the pictures and everything and sound clips and all that stuff. So if you want to see it, that's a good place to look. But from the Get Back documentary, it's a lot of just the music of it. Like there's some dialogue, but mostly music. So that's a really cool box set. I don't keep all the bootlegs I see, but that one I had to. This just came out. This UHQR of Bob Marley and the Wailers, Positive Vibration. I think it sold out pretty quick. They only did 3,500 copies of this. This sounds unreal. I was really surprised to see Analog Productions do this. I was like, it's a great album, and I grew up listening to this album. I love it. But it's just one. It's not one of those like you think that's a real audiophile record, And I was like, well, I'm ordering it obviously because why wouldn't you? Any UHQR I'm gonna buy. Like any one of them, you could do Herb Alpert UHQR. I'm gonna buy it just because I want to hear it that way. And man, the nuances, little tiny, like especially with reggae. Reggae for some reason sounds phenomenal on a good system. And like lately, I've been pulling out a lot of like really clean reggae that I have, dub stuff that I have because it sounds so killer on my system. And so I was really excited to get this, and man, it did not disappoint. It's amazing. So that's like the box, and this is the record that's inside. Real textured, really cool. But man, I love this record and everything. Like the reason I say like I would buy Herb Alpert UHQR is because like I trust Chad Kassem and Analog Productions and all that so much that the things that they pick, they have such an attention to detail. Every title they pick, even if I think I want to pick that, I buy it anyways, and then when I hear it, I'm like, I get it. I get why they picked it. And so it's turned me on, give me a greater appreciation to some things. And then it's just such a killer label, and I think that's what a label should do. Like turn you on to things you might not normally buy or whatever, but they sound so killer. It's hard not to buy everything that they do. This came in the mail today, longly anticipated. Not today, this week. The Michael Jackson Thriller Ultra Disc One Step. I do really like that they did the thin line one. I'm running out of space for my one steps, so it's really cool that they did this one this way. I kind of hope they do them all this way. Honestly, I really like that about this. I will say, but the UHQR, it being thick and stuff, I like the way that I wouldn't change that for the world. But this is really nice. The past Ultra Disc One Steps are so big, and they're really hard to open and get through and all that stuff. So I've heard a lot of critiques of this particular one. It does sound really good. And when I was young, I listened to Thriller all the time. It's a great record. There's no denying it's a great record. I pre-ordered it forever ago before all the whole scandal and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'll keep it. And I think they even like emailed me and was like, do you still want this? And I was like, yeah, I still want it. So yeah, but it's a great record. It sounds good, but I can't remember who said it. It might have been Mike from the In Groove, and I agree with what he said. I'm not going to say it was Mike because it might not have been, but I think it was. That this is, like a dance record, and they kind of framed it like an audiophile record. Somebody said that. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to put it on mic, but and I would agree with that. Like it took maybe some of the punch out of it a little bit, but anyways, it's a different way to hear a record, and I do think it sounds really good. Is it worth the money? I don't know. I buy things so I can hear it, and so I can have conversation with people. If they ask me like, what did you think of it? I can have an opinion on stuff like that, because a lot of people ask me like, what did you think of this? What did you think of that? Because they're thinking about buying it. And I buy things just as much to enjoy as I do for research. Sometimes, Thriller's not an album I'm going to throw on every day. But if I want to, it's a nice one, I'll throw it on, But anyways, thank y'all for watching this video. If you liked it, check out my other channel. It's called Heavy Rotations. There's a link for it in the description of this video. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to this channel. All that stuff. Our Instagram account for the shop is @Noblerecords. So anyways, thank y'all for watching. We'll see you guys next time.